really don't understand why somebody would put a bracket on their chair. That's just me. So I'm going to take these brackets off. There's one this side and one the other side. This has been done quite recently, and the reason I feel that is because there's 3 pieces I found in the base of the fabric when I took it away. The fabric that was in the bottom was probably put there about 50 years ago. It was a good quality fabric and had only recently started to wear away. And whoever had done it had taken the original webbing away. There was hardly any stitches holding the springs into the base. I know that the pieces of wood fell in later because they were still there. I was really worried that they wouldn't be. Unfortunately, this join is not good. I was so excited because I found 3 of these, one of which I've just put in, only to discover, having not worked it out very well, that it lines up on this side perfectly, which left this one. I thought, oh yes, brilliant. That doesn't work either. I'm actually missing the front one because this goes on the back, which means I've got to remake the stretcher here, and it's going to have to be custom made so that it touches this, this and this all together, so it's a very sturdy join. It has caused the front to twist slightly, which might be part of the reason this all came off. Now I know the frame top to bottom here is about 2 inches. This isn't really manly enough for the job. I'm going to cut my piece of wood to a size, and then I'm going to see how I can work it in. I need to make a template of the piece here that I need to go into. I'll be a bit careful because it's not very well supported. I'm going to go into here like that, around and like that. Kind of got an idea of what this brace needs to look like. I'll cut 2 similar size ones out so that I can fit them to either side of the front here. I have cut this out. I had to use a circular saw, so it's a bit squared off. I need to sand it so that it will fit in here nicely. I'm using this as a guide so that I know where it should come, and I need to get that to be able to touch all 3 sides nice and evenly to hold it firm. So I'm going to have to do this very carefully in order to get the right shape. It's going to take a while, but once it's done, it'll fit in nicely. So here's my piece. I've shaved it down a number of times and it is very nearly there. I think if I take a little bit more off here and square it a little bit more, and then I can see what it's going to do here. The thing is that this comes in at an angle, and although I've shaved it down into that angle, I don't know whether I need to take a little bit more off. It touches quite well now at the back. I shaved that off, and I think by and large it touches here as well. Every time I move it, it touches somewhere else. That's the thing. I think I'm going to just shave a little bit more off here. It seems a bit knobbly, and then I'm done because that locks there into there. One more go. Okay, so I've grounded away a little bit more. This is as close as I get it. I think once I've got it glued in and clamped here, it will hold. I don't think I can get it much closer on the front here. It touches most of it, which is all I need it to do. Using wood glue, be liberal. I'd much rather it squeezes out than not enough there. Pop that there, like that. I've got a piece of paper on the other side, which I'm going to pop here on the outside of this so it doesn't ruin the trim. And I'm going to put this like this and wind it up. I think that would do. I've squeezed in quite a bit of glue between this piece and the front band and here. I have this chair on my table, and something I've noticed, it took me a little minute to work it out, is the band here is more or less even, and the band on the top here comes down, but it's not very wide. It should come to about here. Now the top of this stretcher has already broken off, and I've glued the piece back on. The dowels that are in here are probably quite close, and it's cracked here. There's not much I can do about it, but if I put a brace across here, it should hold it and not cause any more damage. So I have 2 more braces to make. I've had to put a clamp on and some glue in because the side of this had started to pull apart, which is not good. But this is the piece of wood that I've got here. I cut it more or less into the shape, and I've already started sanding. But basically where it hits here, I'm sanding down. Sand a little bit more down here where the leg is as I get to it, and also this part here where it touches. And eventually I should be able to get it so that most of the piece of wood here is touching. It's going to take a while to get where I want it to, so I'll be testing it every now and again to make sure it's going where where I want it to go. The other thing is that I also have to take into consideration if the frame is at an angle. And the way to test that is if it rocks. This actually seems to be quite stable as it is. I don't really have the tools to do this job. It's a bit hit and miss for me, but it'll get there. This is when it gets really frustrating. It really needs to fit a little bit more snugly than it is. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more off of here, and it'll go in. I need that to be as flat as possible. This is why you start off on the back end and move forward, not the front end moving back. It's very nearly there. I think I've got it where I need it. This piece here is the piece that I'm really concerned about because there can't be very much of a gap between there because I don't want to pull anything out. It touches here and down here. It's quite a good contact. Not brilliant, but it's okay. I think that'll be fine. I can keep doing this until there's no wood left, basically. Half of my problem is the fact that this comes in so far. I've had to really think about how to do that. So I'm just going to put glue where I know it touches, which is there, here, and for the most part down here. And then I'm just going to clamp it on the outside leg like this, because that really is where I want it to be the most secure. What I had thought about was to screw these into here. When you drill out for a screw, you're drilling out wood. Whereas if you use a dowel, you're replacing the wood that you drilled out with wood. So I'm going to go that route. I'm very cautious about putting screws in at the best of times. If I go up there, it's to there. Down there isn't far enough in. So if I take it to there, which will be a bit higher in the middle there, I think I'll miss the dowels that are going in. I hate doing this. I'm not very good at drilling. I'm in the middle of this from top to bottom, and my wonky eyes kind of tell me that I am going into the centre here as well. I think that's where I want to go. So I'm going to just very carefully... I've got my first hole in there. I am going to put some glue down the hole on the top and around like that. And then I'm going to put the dowel into the hole. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to take the glue off. So the dowel is in place and glued, and I'm just going to cut this off like this. Now what I didn't show you is I forgot, because I didn't do it on the other one. Just mark where your dowel goes down to, and then you know how far you want to allow the glue to go on the shaft. It doesn't have to go all the way up to that point because it's going to be squashed up anyway. And then return it into there. I'll clean up around there and then cut it off. And I'll do the same on this side and then on round. Always remember to re-gauge your depth. I've taken the nails out of the back. It has caused some damage on the front, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. There's various chunks missing off this, which is a bit of a shame, but that's one of those things. I am going to put glue on the back here. It's better to have too much than not enough. Line it up as best I can, and when I say as best I can, I literally mean as best I can, because it has not fitted this piece of furniture in so long that it might not want to go in as I want it to. I think that'll do. Got it more or less even along the bottom, which is more visible than the top. I really don't like these clamps because I can never get them quite firm enough, but it will hold it in the middle, I am sure. I don't think it's moved on either side. I think it's where I want it to be. Okay, so that's that one. I'm going to put this card here and wind this clamp into place so that it holds on this side. I'm putting the card on so it doesn't bruise the front of here. Did any glue squeeze out at the front there? Maybe I need some more glue in there. Some did. Not as much as I thought it would. You see, when I look here, there's no glue here and there's patches missing. So glue along there where it's missing. So we'll start again. I'm worried that there's nothing coming out of the top there. Pop this back on and squeeze it as much as I can. Now the glue's coming out of there too. I think that's it. As I've pulled this, in fact I haven't even bothered pulling it in very tight actually, because it looks like this end has slipped. And I can tell that because this is proud of the area there. So I'm going to have to take them off, slide it just to nth this way and start again. You can see there's a chunk missing here. There's nothing I can do about it, and the bottom here is quite worn. I'll get it to look as good as I can. Although I clamped it, it did twist slightly because the two end clamps were the ones that twisted on. One of the things I have noticed is, although the top here touches, it's about 1/8 of an inch difference down here. It's not level on either side here. Even up at the top here, it's almost level on this side, but it is well over 1/8 of an inch on this side. So I really don't know why that is. That's really weird because this whole piece here should be the same both sides. I'm going to slightly sand it so it looks more even at the bottom because that's going to be more noticeable than the top. It's quite worn along this edge. That should make it a lot neater. Here, although I lined it up quite well, it's only 1/8 out. There's bits missing, and they would have been missing a long time ago. The same at the top. It's really, really strange, but that's okay. It's an old chair. It's allowed to be strange. You'll see that I sanded this and it's actually level all the way down on the bottom. I did it like this because I do need the bottom to be as flat as possible for when I put the webbing in. I can't have it proud because it will look lumpy from the front. At the top here there was quite a bit of sanding. At the bottom here there was minimal sanding. In fact, there was a little bit came off here. There was a lump here, and as you see, that's where there's a chunk missing here too, but that was already missing. But I think that will work. On this leg, there's a piece of wood that comes from here down. I'm not sure if it's just the way it's cut, but on the other leg, this piece is missing. This leg seems quite firm, so I'm going to check the other one. This is the other leg. It is a little bit wonky, which isn't very good, but it also doesn't have that piece of wood that was in there. This tack and these tacks here were from the bottom cloth. So I'm going to clear this up. I'm just going to tap this back a couple of times. I'll turn it over and see if I can get the nail on the other side as well, because I think that's all that needed to be done, is pushed back in. Having knocked the nail in on this side and this side, it doesn't move at all. So maybe one guy made one leg and another person made the other. It was a very old chair, and parts were often made independently, so I'm not going to worry about it. Along here, this piece of wood here is split on this side all the way through, which is a great shame. There's really not much I can do about it, but let's look under here. Unfortunately, it has one dowel which lines up with the brake. I would have suggested that they either put 2 dowels in originally. The nail actually goes all the way through, but it still twists slightly. I'll see if I can get this nail out. 3 dowels would have been a lot better. I actually started pulling the nail out, and what I have noticed is that this gap has closed up, so the nail had pushed this up and out of shape. The dowel here hasn't moved, but I'll get this dowel in, remove the nail, put one in there. Again, there's quite a gap between this and here. This piece also only has one dowel in it, which is here, but it hasn't split apart, and there is one nail. I'm going to see if by pulling this nail down, if it will pull that into place a little bit better. It doesn't seem to want to on this side. Maybe they got the nail in straighter than the other one. I think it will. Seems to have closed it up a little bit, not very much up on this end. Certainly this end has closed up, not so much here. As they say, it is what it is, but if I can pull it and it closes up a little bit better, then when I put the dowel in here and here, it shouldn't be a problem at all. This is the dowel that I put into the back of here, and the dowel here is where the original nail went in. I decided on this side that because the wood here wasn't split, I didn't need to go overkill with 4 dowels. This dowel actually came back into position when I pulled the nail out, so it had altered it. And I think when the nail went in on the other side, where it twisted the wood back, that was the cause of the weakness where the dowel is on the other side. And as I say, that's why I put 4 in, just to hold it. As I look here, there's a crack coming along here in the wood, and there's this crack here. I think what I'm going to do is put one dowel about here in, and then take another one and put it in just at the beginning of the crack. Also going to see if I can close Yeah, I think if I try to get some glue in there, I might be able to squeeze that shut and then drill my dowels in. As you can see, I've got it clamped. I've managed to get one dowel in. I went first in at this angle so that I could hold the head of the bit in place, and then I carefully rotated it and went in at that angle, and I only went to there, so the end of this dowel does come over the end here where the split was starting to go, maybe by about ½ an inch at the most. When this is set up, I will also do the same thing. I'll come in here and then go across so it's midway through the split. I have to be very careful because on the other side it's all carved and I'm not sure how much wood there is. I've just inset this one here. This did close quite a bit. With a bit of luck, this one has stopped this from splitting any further because this one will also hold it in. With the grain of the dowel going this way, it means that there shouldn't be any pressure for it to continue splitting. It should make it really strong. I'm going to cut those two back and really think about this one here. I'm trying to get to the inside of here because this is where the break is. Sometimes you have to think of other ways of doing something. So I'm going to come around here, cut this fabric off, and then see if I can pull it out from there. But it's full of glue, which means I'm going to have to very carefully come around here and take all of this out. The reason why I want this part off here is so that when I glue it, if any of the glue comes through to the front, it doesn't keep this or the fabric from moving later on. It's going to be a bind to get rid of, but it'll be fine. Having removed some of the fabric and trim on the front, that's giving me the allowance here, which is what I wanted. You can see daylight through here, and if I pick that up slightly, you can see the end of the dowel that comes in from this side. I'm going to add glue in here, and I'm also going to squeeze glue into this huge crack, and then I will pull it in from this point up and keep it there for a day. I had to use tiled spaces here and in here because it was the only way I could get everything to hold firm and not slip. I've pulled it in as tightly as I can here. I glued in here, which has actually oozed out, so I got plenty in there. I managed to get some on top of the dowel that came in here, so hopefully that's squeezed around the other side of that dowel. But I'm just going to leave that in place till tomorrow. The crack comes down here, and the first one I'm going to put in, I think as long as it goes over about ½ an inch it'll be secure. I've already pre-marked the drill. I'm really quite nervous. This is very long. I think if I go here up, I'll be fine. I'm about midway in that piece of wood there. I think that's exactly where I want to go. Let's put the glue on here like that. Not sure if that's all the way in. I think I've got to go a bit further. I had to be really careful taking that out because the only bit I've got is this one, and it's a little bit big to go in there. Okay, so the next one I'm going to put in has to go quite a ways in to go over there, so I'm going to have to remark my drill for here. What I'll do is I'll go straight ahead first because this bar's in the way, so although I'm going to go in at an angle, it's not going to be as far over it. It's gone at that angle, but I think that'll be fine. I ended up picking up a new piece of doweling to go in here, and I think because I do have the extra, I'm actually going to go in this way. I am concerned about it being that close to the end there, but I think in this case it justifies it. It's not that bad, I don't think. So I got to rework how far I need to go in. I think probably to there. Managed to get this one in that goes across where the back of that split is. These two look as if they've gone in quite well. I think I've done it all. If you've enjoyed this film, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be nice. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.